On today's episode of WatchJRGo, we are here in the truck embarking on a like 5+ hour drive to go get something I super needed for the shop. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and as you guys know, I just got McDonald's, so we're on that road trip. We've got 10+ hours of driving today, 5 hours just to get there. I bought a scissor lift, and this is something we basically had to have to go any farther on the TV wall. Obviously, the other scissor lift that I usually use, it's tied up, so I had to go buy one. The flip side of buying your own scissor lift is I got a great deal. I paid like $3,900 on an auction site, sight unseen, of course, and honestly, there's no description really saying if it works, but it's way newer than the other one we use, and it has some cool features, I hope. We just have to get there and find out. I hope it drives on the trailer. So we've got a trailer, we got an F-250, and we're rolling the dice on the F-250. Let's go get this scissor lift. Waterloo, Nebraska. The upside of buying your own scissor lift is you can sell it for $2,000–3,000 more when you're done. So as long as you buy it used, of course. So this should be a big win. I needed it like all the time in the building. All the lights, everything that's up top, it all has to be accessed with the scissor lift. So this will let us do the TV wall, finish up a bunch of the other little projects in the ceiling, and it'll pay for itself immediately, and then it'll pay for itself again at the end when we sell this thing. So equipment's where it's at. I don't know if you guys know this. That is the secret to life. There's no titles on equipment, and it's all super easy to transfer. So you buy cheap equipment, clean it up, and honestly, sometimes it's easier to work on too. It's just heavy, and I mean, that's good money. Probably a lot better than cars. 2 hours and 48 minutes to go. It's been pretty uneventful so far. I just needed to take a second and talk about the truck I just passed. Farmer's Oil. If you guys are from the Midwest, you know Farmer's Oil. The craziest semis on the road. You can kind of see it back there. I don't know. It's those two chrome stacks that look like perfection with the FF in the grill. Anyway, they're a trucking company and they move a lot of oil. I've never seen one before. This has a flatbed with like vinyl covers on it with their logo down the side. Impeccable. I mean, 100% chrome flatbed, polished to perfection, all LED lighting. The truck's perfect, unbelievable. Every single truck in their fleet looks like that all the time. And you just see them rolling around Kansas. Absolute perfection going down the road. And it's like the one trucking company that takes better care of their trucks than anyone else. And it's just such a flex. Anyway, I had to make a Farmer's Oil note because you just see them all the time and you're mind blown every single time. Oh, hey, we're here. 5 hours later, 0 stops because this truck's insane. We still have 100+ miles of range on the dash, but we made it. Let's go see this scissor lift and get it loaded up, chained down. There we go. It does actually look nice. I thought this thing was gonna be rough. Freaking awesome. I hope it drives. We got her loaded up. Tongue weight's a little weak. I tried to get it farther forward, but of course, it doesn't work. How else would this have gone? The description said it was, you know, there was no notes about it being broken. They always note anything that's broke. And of course it won't turn on at all, but it is beautiful, and it does have the telematics module. There's like a cellular, Bluetooth, everything module back there. And it's chained down on some boomers. So let's get it home and see if it'll move after it sits on the charger. I'm still super pumped to have this thing though. It's like the most necessary tool. Scissor lift is doing real well on the trailer so far, but we are here at the home of Levrack. They're made right here in Nebraska. So it was right on the way. Of course I had to stop by and say hi. Right into the office. This is the setup. Check this out. We're breaching the headquarters. Golden tee. We have to do big golden tee in the shop for sure. A Honda 90. Anyway, it looks like everybody's gone, but AJ and Ryan are here somewhere. They've got some Honda ATCs up there, all kinds of really cool Levrack setups here, and a bunch of stuff that I don't have, but they're hooking it up. Check that out. That's the legit parts storage setup. You guys brought So anyway, we're gonna put this on mine, so it will end up looking like this on the ends, and we can store more things, tools, long thing, like shovels, brooms, whatever you want. You can hang all that from the slat wall, and of course they have shelves for it, and all kinds of, like a Milwaukee pack-out box that can hang on it, tire racks. It's just the whole setup. A really cool place to see, and we had to stop by real fast just to check everything out. So much awesome stuff. Like, yeah, shipping container, conference rooms. Well, we are rolling out of Levrack HQ. Really cool hanging out with AJ and Ryan, and we're gonna do some more cool stuff with my Levrack in the shop. And it was good, just cool to see the operation. We have made it many miles. I'm incredibly tired now. We're on, I guess, there's only 1 hour left, so 9 hours of driving so far. $50 more in diesel. I only had to fill it up one other time, but I mean, she rides. Can't wait to get it home and start troubleshooting. We made it! This is a victory. Not even a check engine light. Give it up for the F250. It does a lot of good work, honestly. It doesn't break that much. It's gone to what? Colorado, all over Kansas, Kansas City, and Nebraska today, just since the last time it was fixed. So honestly, it goes a long way before it breaks. Okay, first things first, let's plug this thing in, and hopefully there's a click that says, hey, I'm charging. So, oh, yep, the charger kicked in. Unfortunately, all the LEDs have been pushed out of the charger, so I don't have a real status. And if these batteries are any good at all, ooh, I think that is the dead battery indicator. Oh no. I don't know what that means, but that looks very bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 flashes and then green 100. So to open the sides up, the battery compartments, you just go like that. Look at that. We have a battery meter or something in there. That's pretty cool. Okay, we got the meter out. Let's take a quick glance at these batteries and see what we get. We got 6 volts on that one. This one has a lot of corrosion on it, that's for sure. 6 volts on that one. It's still not charging though. And across them both, we've got 12.87. Well, I thought these were 12 volt batteries and I would expect to see 24 and 48 for the scissor lift. So this is kind of odd. I'm gonna have to look up the batteries and see if they're supposed to be 6 or 12 volts. Well, all right then. These are 6 volt, 120 amp golf cart batteries. Let's go up top. We got the key on, the controls are set at the top. I'm not hearing any relays click when the e-stop comes out. And let's see if we can make something happen after we hook the controls up. So the controls are keyed and they just screw on. Come on, click on. There we go. This is all bad news. Okay, here's side 2. 6.3 volts. Wow, we are totally good there. And the next battery, 6.1 volts. That should be exactly what we need. I don't see any connections that are loose. I'm gonna preface this with a huge thank you, JLG. The entire service manual PDF is on their website. You guys rock. That's how you do service manuals. And they should be searchable PDFs. Every service manual, for every car, for everything in the world. Anyway, their diagnostics here show 4 flashes. 1, 2, 3, 4, green. All right, so I think the green is there to tell you to like reset, stop counting. 4 flashes is check battery. I guess I'm going to unscrew this and let's see what's going on in there, because there's a bunch of cut wires right here. I'm pretty sure this is that telematics module that was from Sunbelt, because it all runs up one little piece of split loom tubing, and that makes sense. It looks brand new, and the split loom back there at that Sunbelt thing also looks new, but maybe the control panel is right there. You'll never guess what screw was completely loose. Oh yeah, you probably will. The one for the service cover. I sure hope this thing isn't dead. So I'm gonna grab the meter and we'll start testing out everything up here. All right, obviously I'm guessing here so far, but we've got the meter and we have these 2 connections right there with all those wires on them. I would assume we should have 48 volts right there. And according to the meter, we have no volts. So now I'm gonna go ahead and check here, which I think is the feed from the battery. Maybe that giant fuse is blown, but it doesn't look like it is. What do we have here? There's the negative and the positive, maybe. Also no volts. Hey, look at this. I don't know what this is. I need to get in the service manual. But if I stick my meter lead right there, and then I put the other one on this negative terminal, 25 volts. That is good. So what that thing looks like is a giant solenoid that's supposed to pull in and start this thing. I'm gonna have to look through the book real fast. Let's see what we find. So I'm still trying to find the line contactor in the manual, but there is like one section in the troubleshooting that says line contactor short circuit. And yeah, I mean, it says it can be miswired on or welded. And the thing is, the computer knows if you force it on, which is a big problem. I don't want it to know. But I'm pretty sure that guy right there is the line contactor. And if I jump it, it might turn on the computer. This is called the Zappy power module. And I need to force the thing on because I just need to drive it backwards. That's all I want to do today. Another huge shout out to JLG for labeling everything in the harness. We know the RL31 is battery relay and RL42 is the beacons or the beepers. That's what that one is. So let's just throw a testing relay in there and see if that fixes it. I've got this extra one and that might do it. I was literally just about to rip the control panel off of this thing with this bad boy. 3 tins hold the control panel on, and obviously all the power comes through here first so that you can emergency raise and lower the thing. Well, then I looked up in here where there's a bunch of wires right there. You see that mess back in the back? That's the control box wires. And I went through the entire wiring diagram on that, and then I noticed those 2 red wires right there. And I was like, those sure look like power to a main relay. And then what I thought was a watering hose for the batteries is everything. And the charger. It's everything. It's all right there. It just needs a new input on it and all that corrosion cleaned up. Look at that. There we go, the warehouse scissor lift. I will re-terminate that cable and we will be back in business. This thing is super legit. Going through the manual, I pretty much read most of it really quick. And there's a handheld diagnostic system to help you read the codes from it. It would be nice if it wasn't smart, but honestly being smart is super legit. And now they have the new one out with the lithiums and all that. Anyway, we got this thing out. I gotta start editing in the next 15 minutes to get this up for you guys. So I'm out of here. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.WatchJRGo.com where you get cool shirts just like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. And I will talk to you next time. What a mission. That was 12, 14 hours of nonstop work to get this home. But it's exactly what we needed. Now I'll get it fixed and we'll be ready to TV time. And also, I never believed that guy for a second when he hit me with that, ran when parked. Yeah, man, totally ran. No. That's been broken for a while. Couple of quick notes on the troubleshooting. The wiring diagram shows control box wire 1 was battery power positive. And after all the tracing from the line contactor, I knew the line contactor gets its power from the battery relay. So I was trying to start tracing at the battery relay, ended up going towards the control box. When I was about to pull the screws, I saw those 2 red wires and I was like, those are not where they're supposed to be. It turns out they are, it was just broken. And once I traced that back, I found out that was the missed connection there. All of the power goes through the control box on the floor, and then that powers up everything else, including the controls up top, all that good stuff. So it was pretty simple to figure out from there. Wire 12 is battery negative in the control box, wire 1 is battery positive, and it turns out it is red. And what's weird is it says right on the diagram, all wires white unless noted for a color. And I didn't see a color, I don't think. It might be there, but I don't remember seeing battery 12 volt positive as red. Who knows? Anyway, that's super awesome to troubleshoot. It works just like all electric cars. They always have like a normal low voltage control system, and that low voltage control system pulls in the contactor, usually the giant high voltage battery in the back on a normal electric car. They're all basically the same, and they're all that simple. Like, nothing can go wrong, basically. It either has power or it doesn't, and if it doesn't, start at the batteries and work forward. So anyway, that was just really fun to troubleshoot. Now I need to go get a new ring terminal, get that one off there, I'll pry it apart, and I'll recrimp it with a new one and clean up all the corrosion. We should be back in business. And if you look to your right, you'll see where they're turning water into GTR fuel en masse. Forever and ever. There's a little swimming, but like, forever. Thank you for feeding my GTR farmers.